3 IPL games in one day. If you remember the super over after the clock had passed midnight in Delhi, and after all the drama at the Firoz Shah Kotla, can Royal Challengers Bangalore and Sunrisers Hyderabad live up to it? Bangalore haven't been short of their own drama. They're still trying to recover after the no ball that should have been against Mumbai. But they make the trip to the Rajiv Gandhi Stadium now to take on a side that's not led by Kane Williamson. BHUVNESHWAR Kumar is going to captain for the second time, and he's not started well because he's going to be batting first after Virat Kohli's won the toss. On ESPN Cricinfo Match Day T20, I'm Rana Kapoor with Ajit Agarkar, who I'm delighted to see back in our studios for Match Day, and he's had a terrible start by losing face-off an hour or so back.
Got hammered.
Yeah, this is what happens when we give a fast bowler too much rest. You know, we just let him have a whole week off, and that's why this whole workload management of fast bowlers is overrated, isn't it, Brad?
Yeah, he's like Bhuvi. He just hasn't quite found his rhythm coming back into the hot seat after scoring a century in his last encounter at face-off. So.
Yeah, and Nikhil Naz is also, I think, a fast bowler. He's also taken some time off, and we give Brad Hodge absolutely no time off.
No.
He's the batsman, paid millions of dollars for doing this gig.
Correct.
Let's talk about the result of the toss, though. It's a toss that either captain would love to win. And from what we saw, the ease with which Sunrisers chased the other day against Rajasthan, it's a decent toss to win.
Yeah, it's a good toss to win. But again, it all comes down to the surface, actually, about how dry it is, whether they're playing on the same surface as they did the last game. It came on beautifully. It had a nice grass covering. Under the lights, look, it just played beautifully. We saw the way David Warner played. There was nothing really there for the quicks nor the spinners. So, yeah, I think the toss is important. I think RCB will be happy to chase as well. They haven't quite got their batting unit under control yet. So Virat and AB will certainly feel comfortable chasing. He loves to do it anyway.
I'm delighted you're here, actually, because there's a conversation needs to be had about fast bowling for Sunrisers, in particular BHUVNESHWAR Kumar, who not only has the pressure of slightly uncertain form coming into this game, but he's also got the responsibility to lead now.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it could work in your favour. I think he could have done without it at this point, just standing on the boundary, just worrying about his bowling. But like I said, hopefully he can raise his game. They need him to, because I think bowling was their strength last season. I mean, everyone was, of course, Stanlake played majority of the games last year, or quite a few games.
He started for them, yes.
Yeah, certainly quite a few games for them, which gave them their attack a bit more teeth. Just that kind of pace. In turn might have helped Bhuvi, and Bhuvi looked good, especially at the end of the innings, which he's gone for a few, but he's a quality performer. Hopefully he finds it's a tough place. I think people now maybe know what he does, and you can have a couple of bad games. Hopefully he changes it quickly, because otherwise Sunrisers are in a bit of trouble.
Well, as far as the points table goes, Royal Challengers Bangalore are in a bit of trouble. They lose this one, and all of a sudden it's 3 out of 3 to start the season with that they go down with. They don't want to be at the wrong end of the table this early, but let's have a quick look at what's at stake. If Hyderabad win, they go into that crowd of 4-pointers, and Chennai will remain the only team who have yet to lose. They're in action later on at the Chepauk against Rajasthan, and Rajasthan themselves are looking for their first point. So it's a nice day for Bangalore and Rajasthan to try and get on the scoreboard. Let's go with team news, and there are changes from both Sunrisers Hyderabad as well as Royal Challengers Bangalore. Let's just confirm teams for you, and the changes that have been made for Sunrisers Hyderabad. We know that Kane Williamson, the captain, is a niggle. So Mohammad Nabi comes in as the overseas replacement, and the other change is Shahbaz Nadeem going out and Deepak Hooda back after he missed the last game. Played the first game. Deepak Hooda didn't have much to do. Haji, thoughts on that? The choice of Mohammad Nabi, where we thought there could be a case to, like Ajit said, find room for Billy Stanley?
Yeah, look, I think it's a good one, actually. I think it's a real good matchup. And I think that they would have been swayed to Mohammad Nabi only because of the few left-handers that RCB have in their lineup. They may be vulnerable against the right-arm orthodox of Nabi. And he's actually a great player of spin himself. And I think that the conditions, in a warm day down in there in Hyderabad, I think it was 39, Google Home told us it was yesterday, it should suit him. He's a great versatile cricketer. He's in great touch with the bat, good in the field, and he can open the bowling, can bowl in the middle, can bowl in the death. I think if it had been under lights, maybe in the evening, maybe Stanlake might have got the nod. But good choice.
Yes. No, I mean, I said Stanlake, but I think it's still a good change. I think gives them a lot of depth with their batting again. And like Haji said, bowls that can bowl at different stages of the game in spite of being a finger spinner.
show faith in Sandeep Sharma, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Sid Kaul. I mean, Bhuvi would play, but they have the option of Khalil Ahmed, of Basil Thampi to just change it up. They're backing the guys even though they've gone for a few in the first two.
I mean, it's been just 2 games, and they came up against Andre Russell once. So that's as difficult as it can get.
It's a good thing though. Sometimes teams can change quickly when they know that that's an area of concern. Are you happy with the fact that they've got the same?
But you know what you're going to get from these guys. These guys, all 3 of them have been around IPL and have done well in the IPL. So you don't want to start discarding people too quickly. They've had a victory as well in those 2 games. So it's not as if they've lost both games. So I'm quite happy. Sometimes it helps to get a bit of a run.
Do they lose out anything in the top order without Williamson? He had little to do with Bairstow's form. But what sort of batting order would you see? Would you see Vijay Shankar coming up earlier at 3? Would you see case to maybe send a pinch hitter, a Huda or a Mohammad Nabi?
Yeah, look, it's interesting to see. Look, they might be keen to put Manish Pandey up to number 3 and give him an opportunity. Mohammad Nabi himself's quite flexible. I think they'll leave Vijay Shankar where he is. Yeah. I think that role that he's playing,
really good,
absolutely fantastic at number 4. What I've loved about him is his strike rate is up. Yeah. You know, coming in the middle overs, he's been impactful. He looks a great player of spin.
Yes.
And he's got a big hitting game as well. So for me, it's just he's enabled them to stretch that batting order out really, really deep. They'll miss Kane Williamson for sure. I mean, he's a champion player. He's played really well. But looking at that batting depth, I don't think they'll miss him too much because Warner and Bairstow have been on fire. I think they've put 2 100-run partnerships on. So, you know, there'll be opportunity for Deepak Huda's a big hitter. Yusuf Pathan knocked one over the fence the other day. Mohammad Nabi himself, Vijay Shankar, and also Rashid Khan as well.
So they've got some batting.
They've got some firepower. And look, they look such a settled unit. You've got to stick with this bowling unit. Yeah, I think the next person in will be Khalid, the left armour, who's played for his country. For me, those 3 bowlers just look a little bit similar in what they're trying to do. You know, the odd slow ball, Yorker, knuckleball. If you can't find room for Billy Stanley, Khalid's got a little bit of extra pace as well, which might help him out.
Very well.
I mean, sorry, the one thing is you don't want to leave Williamson out for too long. Hopefully it's a niggle because we saw him warming up. But, you know, that sort of quality, we saw what he did last year for them at the top of the order. I mean, I know it's a little bit difficult with Bairstow showing some form, but if I had to pick between the 2, there's no doubt Williamson.
Well, there's going to come a time where they will be without the services of Johnny Bairstow, so that has to be factored in calculations to how Sunrisers want to go about it. A good player to spin is Vijay Shankar, says Brad Hodge. He's going to have an extra bit of spin to cater to because RCB's team has a big day, and I think it's a historic day because Prayas Ray Burman from Bengal, sitting at 16 years and 157 days, could very well be the youngest player ever to feature in the IPL. We are in fact confirming that it's a big day for the boy from Bengal who's only played 9 List A games to go with his 40 T20s and had a showing in the recently concluded Syed Mushtaq Ali. Picked up by Bangalore at the auction, and he's now going to accompany Yuzvendra Chahal, India's #1 leg spinner in international cricket. And that's an interesting day, big day for Prayas Ray Burman, a 16-year-old in the IPL, Ajit.
Huge day. I mean, obviously, this is again the work of the scouts that watch cricket throughout the course of the year. Very excited to see what a 16-year-old can do. I mean, you can't get in a sort of higher pressure situation than this. But look, I think they're bowling first as well, so hopefully there might be something on offer. But looking forward to that debut.
How about that call to play a leg spinner in place of Navdeep Saini from what we saw in the last game at Hyderabad? Do you like the call, and that too, to put that kind of investment and faith in a 16-year-old this early in the tournament?
Yeah, well, it must be a horses for courses sort of thing. I think the pitch itself down there in Hyderabad, it will be a fraction dry in the day, you'd think. I mean, it's been a hot day. So for me, I feel a little bit disappointed for Saini. We talked about the millimetres in sport. Colin de Grongholm dropped one early on. He should have had 1 for none. Ends up going for none for 40. And as a coaching unit, you look and you go, well, none for 40 hasn't an impact. Anyway, what's happened is that we're going to have a superstar young leg spinner come in, and it's exciting times for him.
I like that you build it up because it could go either way. Sometimes when you have these, you expect all sorts of things from the spinner.
You look at the Sunrisers batting as well, apart from Warner. Lots of right-handers in that lineup, which can only help.
Yeah, in fact, I don't think there's any left-hander other than David Warner in that entire team. So you got what? Bairstow, Manish Pandey, Vijay Shankar, Huda, Yusuf Pathan, Rashid Khan. So yeah, you've
And a biggish ground, so
got
that gives the spinners a little bit of a chance.
He'd be really hoping that David Warner isn't around when he comes on the bowl for Ashley Berman, but that's a bet of long odds given the form that David Warner's shown on his return. And we're ready to go to our first poll on Facebook. If all of you watching would like to get involved, an interesting change, a bit of a googly thrown in by Virat Kohli by playing the extra leg spinner. But what we're asking is, given that they have death bowling issues of their own, was Tim Southee an option? Could they have played Tim Southee either in place of Colin de Grandin or managed to work one of the batters around? That's the question that we're asking. So get busy. Those are the reactions. And that takes us to our next talking point. It's a similar sort of conundrum for both teams, Ajit. Death bowling seems to be an issue. While Sunrisers know that their guys have done the job before, Bangalore are still trying to figure whether the combination of Umesh Siraj and Navdeep Saini would work. Would Tim Southee have been a temptation for you?
Yeah, but we spoke before. They're not quite certain of their 11, which is never a good thing. Again, that over reliance on AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli to try and win you games, it's not a good thing for them. I think maybe Hetmyer is somebody they need to put a bit more responsibility on. And I know Parthiv got runs last game, but that's another spot. Can Parthiv win you games at the top, or are they okay with him just getting that 30 and just batting the power play? Not quite so sure. So
is it understandable
to not? De Grandin plays in that 11 because they're not quite sure about their batting either.
So is it understandable though for a team not to know its 11 at the start of a new season?
Oh, absolutely. The first game of the year is always the toughest side to pick, and then you make one or two changes in your first couple of games if you don't like the look of it, and then generally you'll settle in and you'll make some horses for courses changes.
Is it a case of Bangalore playing a good 11 but not giving them the right role? Ajit makes out that Hetmyer should be given more responsibility, but the Parthiv situation doesn't allow it.
Yeah.
Or is it a case of getting more people, getting a Southee, getting Coulter-Nile when he's available?
Yeah, look, I think it's a big issue for them. It's a glaring obvious fact that it doesn't look like a side which has got full of match winners in the current situation around Virat and AB. That's a glaring fact. How are they going to work that out? Well, I think they've got to get their match winners into the game. It's the only way to get, for me, Hetmyer's a match winner. AB, Virat, get him into the game early. Go back to that old recipe of how they worked a few years ago. Get a bulk of the runs in your top 4, put 200 on the board and see if you can defend it. I think that's the recipe which has worked for them. They need to go back to that. The
reason we're pushing for the case of Tim Southee is actually, if you look at the numbers with and without him, and you'll find, 10.3 versus 11.8, and we keep into account, of course, the Chinnaswamy Stadium in our calculations, where runs tend to be scored off the bowlers. But are they looking for leadership in the fast bowling? Is the combination of Umesh Siraj and Saini one that you can bank on to do a job?
But Saini is not playing today, so that's one change that they've made and gone for a leggy, which again.
So who takes responsibility bowling at the death?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Umesh, they prefer finishing Umesh before that 14-15 over mark. It's an interesting one. That's why they've decided to chase.
So you're going to have 2 leg spinners ideally bowling within the first or towards the middle. If one of them goes, if the young kid goes for one or takes him for a few, we've got a bit of an issue.
Well, they're in trouble, aren't they? Because they're desperately missing Marcus Stoinis. In fact, they've done that trade before, knowing that he'll probably bowl 3 to 4 overs in a match, which gives them security to just move their 11 around a little bit. And then and also Nathan Coulter-Nile as well. I mean, Tim Southee is a great bowler, there's no doubt about it. But you can see there that the impact that he's having is not one of a Bumrah or someone else, or a Rabada. He's a great bowler and he'll give great leadership and that on the field. But again, for me, overseas players need to be X-factor players. They need to win your games. Does Tim Southee fit into that? Probably a great team person to balance your side up. Match winner, maybe not. Okay,
now again, the availability issue could come into Bangalore's calculations, but they have to try and win as many, and we know that Coulter-Nile and Stoinis will be available from the next game, the Pakistan-Australia series concluding today in the UAE. What about Hyderabad's bowling? They've got issues of their own, so let's focus on that. This is not something we thought we'd discuss, the way they had their season last time around. Now, 70% of their season early on was one at the back of their bowlers. Just as it was going towards the playoffs, we saw them go for a few. We'll dig out the numbers for you as well, but at the core of this is BHUVNESHWAR Kumar, and there's a larger picture here of him wanting to be in good form, bowling well ahead of the World Cup. You have Shami doing well. Obviously, nothing needs to be said about Bumrah. Are you concerned about BHUVNESHWAR Kumar?
Not yet. I mean, again, came up against 2, batters in really top form on the night. So, no, look, I think if you look at their last year's performance, with Williamson playing, now Bairstow's taken that spot.
Yes.
Williamson playing, they were playing Shakib, and part of that tournament Billy Stanley played, which gives them a lot more teeth. That's why Nabi's quite a good change in that lineup. I think we'll probably find out what he can do. That might help, but not yet. It's 2 games. If it continues, you might have cause for concern with Bhuvneshwar Kumar, but not at the moment.
Let's look at the numbers. How often do they concede big runs? Let's have a look at that first up. Now the opponent scoring 180 plus against Hyderabad in 2016 to 17. In 31 matches it happened 4 times, and since IPL 2018 in 19 matches it's happened 8 times. So that's something else that you want to try and consider. Bhuvneshwar Kumar's key to their plans. If he doesn't work, how much more exposed is his bowling lineup, Haji?
Well, very much.
Yeah.
I mean, he's key. There's nothing you can do and say about his skill and talents. I mean, when he's moving the ball, bowling at a good pace, good change of pace, he makes other people's roles easier.
Right.
So when he's off the boil, their
Does
job...
it affect sometimes when your main bowler's not getting it to the others? That, oh God, this might be harder for
Yeah,
us?
absolutely.
What
So
happened?
with Rashid Khan, there's a theory or a methodology when you go out as a batting unit to try and cut the head off the snake, and you can't cut the head off Rashid Khan because he's too good. The next snake in the pack is BHUVNESHWAR Kumar. At the moment, people actually put him under pressure. He's a fraction of his best, and it rolls on to the other 2 as well. So, when the other 2 come on the bowl and they see the best travelling a little bit, they know that they're not as good as him. So it does have a roll-on effect in
More
your
on Bhuvi at the death. And I'd love to hear Ajit on this too, because what we saw Bhuvneshwar Kumar, 2014 to 17, when he really made a name for himself as a top death bowler in 2020 cricket, economy of 8.7, average 14, lots of wickets at the death. 2018 to now, we had a bit of an issue. Now, we know he's had injuries, but how much harder is it to come back to actually bowl that sort of Yorker length consistently, or change it up to a point where you're as effective? And clearly Bhuvneshwar Kumar seems to have some problems.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's still not carrying that niggle. That can be a bit of a worry, because then you can't actually execute what you want to, even if you know what needs to be done, and you've got to be fit. So I hope that if that is an issue, that's a bigger cause of concern for India, because we've seen he's not being at his best. He's had some good games, but not been at his best since he's come back from that back injury. So hopefully he's over it, and if he is, then it's just a couple of bad games. But if the injury is hanging around, it'll always trouble him a little.
This is a stat that I wouldn't want to associate with Bhuvneshwar Kumar. You wouldn't want to associate with your premier bowler, the leader of your pack. And it's how many times you've gone for over 20 in an over. Bhuvneshwar Kumar has actually gone 4 times. So that's at the death, 20 plus. You'd think your main bowler would find a way to arrest, a leakage of runs in big numbers. Do these sometimes play on your mind? If you get hit for a couple of boundaries early, because I know Russell's been at one end of it, would you like to see him do something else, use the bumper more, or anything else?
I think he does everything right.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, when you consistently bowl at that stage of the innings,
Correct.
You're going to have, I mean, he does the job day in, day out. So he's likely to have a few bad overs. So, like I said, it's just 2 games. If it continues, then perhaps we'll have a
Will
bit
he be
more to
thinking
talk
of this?
about.
Does a fast bowler think of it?
I'm sure.
Well, when you're entrusted to do that job, you're going to travel. It's it's the nature of the beast. So, if he bowls in the middle overs, he'll probably go at 6 and over, no problem. But that's your role, that's his job, and he's been outstanding at it.
You wouldn't want to cushion him, right? You wouldn't want to give him easier overs to at least try and get some form. He continues to bowl at the death field.
Yeah, I mean, he's their best bowler, so that's the job he's got. Look at both games, he's come against 2 batsmen who were exceptional on the night. So you've got to take it as a bowler.
Well, if anyone has to decide that, it's Bhuvneshwar Kumar himself today. He's leading this side, of course. He's probably going to take the new ball too, and that takes us to the curious case of PARTHIV Patel. Before we go there, we'll actually show you the result of the poll. And I know everyone on our Facebook live video is going to be delighted that both the Afghans are playing. Yet we're asking you for Bangalore, should Saudi have played? 85% of you believe he should have. We'll find out in time to come if indeed that is the case. We'll also get you busy on what your predictions are, Bangalore or Hyderabad. Those are the reactions, the wow reaction for Hyderabad, and give us a laugh if you think Bangalore is going to win it and have the last laugh. Now let's go to the curious case of PARTHIV Patel. I actually like the wording of that subject and that match point. PARTHIV Patel has been a regular feature in the IPL. He has won IPLs with Chennai, with Mumbai, but we're trying to just give you an idea of what we're expecting Parthiv Patel. He is consistently this player, Haji. 2018, he struck at 140 in the limited games that he had for Bangalore. But otherwise, that's what you get. Now, it would be brilliant to actually break down how quickly he gets his first 20. Yeah, and we're going to come to that too in a bit. You use the word serviceable. He's serviceable, his Parthiv Patel.
Yeah.
But does he sometimes give you almost a problem that you don't see?
I think so in T20, yeah. So the problem you have is that when you come up against a powerhouse like Chris Gale and KL Rahul, or a David Warner and Kane Williamson at the top, you're often putting your middle order and your back end at huge risk of facing a deficit which they cannot chase down. So for me, Parthiv has to be a lot more aggressive, a little bit along the lines of how we've talked about Ajinkya Rahane, and just increasing that strike rate from 110 to 120. 120 is fine, but 110, it's probably not good enough. So, look, I mean, he's a great keeper, there's no doubt. Can you bat him further down the order? I'd like to see that happen just because I want to see Hettimeyer get to the top and get an opportunity to do so to maximise his opportunities.
That's exactly it, isn't it? I mean, would you want Hettimeyer to open and play at that spot and make use of those overs, or could be anyone else of that sort of ability, or you're just, like I said before, just happy that Parthiv gets you through the power play, gets his 30. But how many? I mean, if you look at his career, and this is nothing against Parthiv, but that's sometimes you have your own limitations, and to me, he shouldn't. That's why he shouldn't be your first choice. I mean, if you don't have any other options, fair enough. You know,
but there's things about Parthiv Patel, and franchises tend to think if we play him, we have to open with him. We'll just show you some numbers and give you an idea of how Parthiv Patel sort of goes about. This is actually really nice because he's an opener. Now, third over or so, it takes a little time. Maybe the first over or so, he's also gotten out a few times there. The third over or so is when he takes off, and then the strike rate just dips from there. The longer he plays, you think the strike rate actually goes down, which is again a point. Now, sixth over, last over the power play, Parthiv Patel tends to take his chances. He's gotten out a few times, but he strikes at 140. You wouldn't mind that. Once the field is spread, 112, 97, 109, 115, which essentially is where we're taking this conversation.
And I'm sure that must be a small sample size. I don't think I can't remember too many times he goes to the 10th
on
over.
for a long innings.
And that's the thing. If any other batsman with a bit more ability to then dominate once you've got through the 6 overs, can then win you games. Then getting out at that stage puts a bit more pressure. And it's not. I'm not sure he bats at 140 all the time.
Right.
Or strike rate of 140 all the time. If that was the case, we'd still take it.
Yeah, we've got some more numbers. And if you're a Parthiv Patel fan, well, sorry, but there's more for you. He's actually got great company. Rahul Dravid, Jack Callis, Sachin Tendulkar, Michael Hussey. I mean, you can't pick a better bunch to be part of, but unfortunately, it's the poorest strike rate for openers. Rahul Dravid will tell you that they were still figuring out what on earth they need to do in 2020 cricket, and he himself didn't want to do this job. Jack Callis and Tendulkar accompany him. The reason it's still a curious case, Haji, is because he's got shots, right? He's got, so again, like Rahane or like Shikhar Dhawan, you can tell him to go for it. Or are you saying that he's not quite got the ability to play the big shots?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure whether he's got the... I'm sure he's got the ability.
Maybe Ajit, from everything that you've seen.
I think once the field spread, I don't think he has the necessary power then to sort of dominate. He's still got the shots, but to clear the boundaries...
Yeah, look, I think the T20 modern game's changed that much, that this role has become redundant, unfortunately. So... For me, this is a real issue, and I'm not sure why RCB got rid of Quinton de Kock.
This role, you mean?
Yeah, there's no room for just playing it out. Yes. And I'll tell you why, because that's why the West Indies won the T20 World Cup.
Sure.
Because they are just stacked full of guys that pump the ball over the fence.
And you make a good point on Quinton de Kock's release. It just baffles the mind even more now.
Yeah, well, now you've lost your keeper, your flexibility in your role and your keeper. So it is the curious one.
Quickly on how Bangalore could possibly control David Warner in the power play. Now, no spin at all. Would that be a way to go for against Warner, Haji?
Look, I'm not sure. It looks in great touch.
That's what we've got for you.
Yeah, we dissected his strike rates in all phases and against the pace and spin just recently, and there was no flaw. I mean, there was a time when you'd open with a right arm off spin bowler, but he's dominated that and countered that.
Yeah.
You've got to give him credit. He's a pit bull terrier. When he's down, he's come back out and bounced back, and he looks in great touch. Hey, I'd like to see him off strike. He looked like he dominated off strike. I'd like to try and frustrate him a little bit, keep him down at the non-striker for a period of time. So try and close the gap in on Johnny Bairstow so he can't get strikes. Try and minimise how many balls he faces in the power play.
I'd actually like to see Navdeep Saini ever go at him, but is it straightforward? Both the seamers. Moeen Ali is taking the new ball as we speak.
Yeah, Navdeep
So
Saini
that's
is
the way
not
to
playing.
go.
So
I would have loved to see Navdeep Saini go at him.
Yeah,
but now that's taken
but
over.
yeah, I mean, Moeen Ali is obviously opening, and they'll probably go with Umesh Yadav, who can swing it into a left-hander. So if he gets it right first up, doesn't matter how good a form you're in. If you can get it full and straight and swing it a little bit, you can still beat the best batsman. So yeah, you've got to get him out.
All right.
I think.
Toss of the coin to see who picks first on our Fab 4 between Haji and Ajit. Now, I believe there was a truce that was struck last time in this game. One person picked Warner, the other person got Butler. So if you all want, you all can make that sort of arrangement. One guy can take Warner, the other guy can take AB de Villiers or Virat Kohli or something like that. But we'll figure that.
Ajit could go first.
Okay, Ajit is
I won the Fab.
I think
4
Ajit would have
tonight,
liked to go second.
Okay, yeah, Rashid Khan.
All right, well done.
We might as well just walk off now.
Add Warner, de Villiers, Kohli and you're done.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bairstow.
Okay, you changed your mind. All right.
And who else? Virat Kohli, obviously.
Yeah.
And who's got? AB de Villiers.
All right.
Wow.
Two leg
Is there
spinners.
any good players left in the game?
Yeah, of course. Your buddy Hetmeyer. You want to put some...
All right, I'll go. No chance. I'll go Mohammad Nabi actually.
All right.
I'll go Warner because he's still there. Vijay Shankar looks in good touch.
Good pick.
And batting second, look, I think.
Parthiv, come on.
No chance. Listen, let's give Shivron Hettimara a chance.
That's
then,
better.
huh?
That's what I'd like to see. I love your confidence. Two leg spinners. You pick Johnny Bairstow. This should be fun. Thank you, Ajit Agarkar and Brad Hodge. Focus your attention on the game. Your thoughts on this game would be Bangalore or Hyderabad. Let's have a quick look. It's close. 58-42 is not bad, but you're still going for the home side, who've lost the toss, so they've got that minor handicap to take care of. Let's see how many Bairstow and Warner can give them. Join us for our half-time chat. You can put your questions through to Brad and Ajit, and we'll be back at the end of 10 overs for an innings update as well to see how Hyderabad have started.